Hello and welcome to Talking Games. Just finished West Ham United 5, Hull City 1. Positive results all around. Positive result for West Ham United and positive results for David Moyes, Issa Diop and Josh Cullen. You seen that one coming, didn't you?
I did. Good though. Good.
Thank you. I was lined up. I was ready for it. I was ahead. Anyway, we didn't have to wait long. We'll get on to the testing part in a bit, because I felt it almost overshadowed the first half. Actually, I think a lot more people were discussing the testing rather than the actual game during the first half. But 17 minutes, that's all we had to wait. Gonzo, lovely bit of play. I thought actually, I really enjoyed watching that goal back. The assist, Andre Yarmolenko, justify me being a fanboy. I think that little dink over to Snodgrass, lovely volley though from Snodgrass as well.
I think all three. I thought whatever it was, Lanzini's, whatever you want, his interception or a first touch was very, very good because it took him into the space. It was a space that the defender didn't quite fancy hacking him down, which was ironic considering they did lots of that in the second half. But then I thought he played it then to Yarmolenko, who basically just drew all the whole players in. And we think he's only got a left foot, but no, he drifted it, chipped it up with his right foot, let's say, over to Snodgrass, who did volley and finish really, really well into the bottom right-hand corner, which was the furthest corner away from him. But I did think it was a lovely build-up of play, and it was to prove, but there was some link-up in there that was going to prove to be a problem for the whole of the evening, basically.
It's not often a volley, a first-time volley, gets overshadowed by the assist for me. Like Trevor Sinclair's assist for Di Canio was magnificent, but the volley is the main topic. But that Yarmolenko, like you said, he draws all the players out. He's literally he gets one glance to have a look around. He looks up and he gets his head down at the ball. He just knows how he even spots Snodgrass is almost unbelievable. But the technique to pick out. It wasn't the first time we saw him doing the game, and I just thought, here we go. Here's the class showing up. Just before half-time, though, we sort of almost wrapped the game up, to be honest with you. I thought it was a very one-sided half, to be honest. I thought Hull I was probably more impressed by Charlton's endeavour than I was by Hull tonight. I didn't think Hull could really be arsed, to be honest with you. I think they only had 2 players that started at the weekend, so there was 9 changes for them tonight, for context. But Sebastian Haller, another assist by Andre Yarmolenko, and another goal for Sebastian Haller in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, did really well again tonight. I thought it was an overhit pass from Lanzini, and it was. I think everyone was surprised that it was sort of overhit, so it sort of bounced off the defender and it sort of ricocheted. I was really impressed with how Yarmolenko gathered the overhit pass off the defender. Again, a similar situation where he just seems to have awareness of the players around him and they seem drawn to him. Defenders, and he did square it easily for another easy tap in for Sebastian Haller. But it's quite funny with goal scorers, because goal scorers, you'll often accuse them of having easy tap ins, but people that don't score goals don't tend to be stood there for the easy tap in. So really good from Yarmolenko again, who was bossing the game at this point.
He's very unselfish for such a selfish player, if that makes sense. Because in the second half, he saw times where he should have passed or he should have crossed it, but he insisted on shooting, and it was sky high. And I mean that. But the second goal, you'd forgive him for trying to take the effort on himself, particularly when he's already set one up. But he doesn't. He just rolls into Haller's feet and says, "You have it, mate. On you go." Very unselfish for selfish play. Half time though, 2-0. I felt like we were in cruise control already, Gonzo.
Yeah, we were in cruise control. I mean, you said, what was yours saying? Tell me what you say about Felipe Anderson and winning the.
I say that Felipe Anderson plays well when West Ham are winning, rather than Felipe Anderson playing well to make West Ham win.
Okay, I'll tell you something. When Lanzini plays well, West Ham play well, and Lanzini was buzzing and at the hub of everything. And I thought, whilst Snodgrass scored the volley, I thought he and Wilshere were functional to start with. Actually, but Wilshere got better as the game went on and started to show some flashes of class. But at that point, I thought it was very much Lanzini taking the ball off of those two guys and then either passing it really smartly, really intelligently, or driving at their defence and taking players out the game. And I just thought he and Yarmolenko were running the game and bossing the game at this point, and I thought it was difficult for Hull because Hull had actually started off very, very deep, very well organised. You look at the first, well, up until the point we scored, and I thought they were so well organised. I was thinking, oh, this might be a little issue today, actually, because they really were. You know, our fullbacks were pushing up. We we were playing quite a high line as well, but it didn't seem to be any way through. But once we were 2 goals up, there was really no way they were ever going to get back into it, just because, for all the reasons that we said in the build-up, that we just have a quality of player, particularly in the 2 I mentioned, and Haller as well, who are European or international caliber players. It's just a bit too much for a team like Hull. We've struggled for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, I actually thought Lanzini had a couple of heavy touches in and around the box and stuff, but I'm willing to put it down to match rustiness, if that's such a thing. I do think at times though his class showed, but you can say that for the front 4 tonight. I thought our passing was a joy to watch, actually. And I know, listen, disclaimer, it is a League One side, it is Hull City, we are aware of that, but we're judging the 90 minutes we just watched. I enjoyed watching us play football the way we were playing it tonight and the way we played against Charlton as well. We had it on the deck, the technical players were looking good technically, we had the flair players in there, they were doing the stuff. I thought everybody played decent in the first half. There was some a bit. I would have liked to have seen more from Jack Wilshere, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
But if anything, it justifies the manager's decision not to have included him so far this season, and almost justifies the club's decision to try and move him on a free, regardless of his injury thing. He just didn't really look. You look at Yarmolenko and you think he's far too good for that game. You think that about other players. With Wilshere, you can tell he's better, but I expected a bit more. 3-0 though, penalty. I thought it was quite a soft penalty, to be honest with you. I see those all the time. The ball comes in, the striker goes down under a defender's challenge, and I think get on with it a little bit. But Yarmolenko steps up and dispatches it.
Apparently so. I dozed off as I was only just I was awoken by the commentator getting mildly excited.
Well, that's what happened. Yarmolenko scored a penalty.
I did know they were talking about it, and I wrote quite detailed notes, and at 3-0, Yarmolenko scores a penalty. So there you go. So, but good for him. I'm not surprised. I was just surprised. I guess was I surprised that he took it? No, not really. He probably deserved it. I thought Haller might get it because strikers are greedy like that.
The sexiest minute of the game, Hull City pulled one back with their substitute 1 minute before the 70th minute, and they made it 3-1. A couple of errors from a couple of young kids though. Long ball forward, Elise got beat in the air, and then it fell to the Hull player, and I have to say Longella should be doing better for this, but this is why you put them in. This is why you put them in at 3-0 and say, look, if you make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just don't make the same mistake twice. And I felt like he made amends for his error later on in the game, which we'll get to. But I do think he's boo-booed there. He's got the wrong side of the attacker completely. He should really be clearing it. But a good finish from the Hull player.
Yeah, I mean, I felt sorry for him because that happened, and I thought he was a nervous wreck for the next 10 minutes actually, and he shouldn't have even been on the pitch. Let's be absolutely fair. I actually wrote down. I actually did write down. Hull are going to injure someone in a minute, right? I actually wrote it down on there.
You don't want to know what I wrote down. I'm not allowed to broadcast it. I tweeted it, but I'm a bit harsher on tweets now than videos. Okay,
fair enough. They'd gone in really hard on Sebastian Haller, smacked Lanzini on the back of the head, and then I thought Lanzini then got studded directly afterwards. I was watching. The reason I wrote it down, I thought, they're trying to take players out here, and it wasn't until, funny enough, Snodgrass raked one of them in the 78th minute, and then straight away Johnson followed it up, and where we actually decided to batter them, that calmed them down a bit, because I think at that point Hull probably thought, well, hold on a second, we could never mind injuring them, we've got our own championship to worry about. But what had happened was, obviously they'd gone up, and Ashby had just been wonderful, by the way. And he was taken out with such and I knew straight away it was his finger, because unfortunately I'd actually dislocated mine a little while. I could see about 3 weeks ago I dislocated mine. I could see by the way he was holding it. I thought, oh, you poor bugger, and he was on the gas and all the rest of it. But he had that right tied up, And Johnson, I thought, had seen how well that Ashby had played in the first 10 minutes. So then Johnson started blooming into this player, and I thought, well, hold on a second, maybe he's more comfortable on the left. So two-footed, was so impressed. Solongello should never even really been on the pitch, to be fair, and I think it's not like he'd been warming up for 10 minutes. It was a freak injury. Everyone was in a bit of shock. He came on, he got caught out, they scored, but had our two fullbacks have stayed in place, they were never scoring that goal.
There wasn't too much action, a little bit here and there, and Hull started to get a little bit of something together and try and get back into the game. We had a few chances, but in the 91st minute we decided to kill the game off completely, made it 4-1, Sebastian Aller again. This is where Langelo does make amends, so he wins the ball lovely on the edge of our 18-yarder, nice tackle, gets the ball out to Anderson, he breaks forward, finds Lanzini, plays Aller in, puts the keeper down on the floor and puts it into the back of the net.
Yeah, I thought actually Lanzini then did what Yarmolenko had been doing, because I thought he took control of the ball beautifully on his chest, drew everybody in, and again it's like bees around honey. Like I guess that's the lower level in that respect. You know, they seem sort of mesmerised by Yarmolenko and Lanzini, whereas maybe a Premier League team hold their shape and they're just better drilled or whatever. Again, they got drawn in, and you know he was able to stay in space, remain on side. Obviously, Lanzini just played Haller through, you know, and did his little trick around the goalkeeper, and yeah, you know, good. You know, happy days again at that point, and I didn't think there was enough time for another.
It was nice to see variety in Allier's goals. The first one was very similar to the one he scored against Charlton, and I think as a striker in these cup games, you almost want a bit of a challenge to score, because if you keep getting these tap-ins, it's easy to discard as a manager. The manager's looking at it, thinking, well, actually, if anyone's going to get rewarded for our second goal of the game, it's probably Yarmolenko. It's not actually the goal scorer. It's the guy that gave you the ball and let you knock it in the back of the net. So it's actually good that he got a one-on-one situation that he had to remain composed, take the goalkeeper on. It was more of a striker's goal, if you like, and he stayed on side. He did well to stay on side. You could see him hold off, looking where the defenders are. Good goal, and like you said, surprised we got an opportunity to get another one, because a minute later it was back in the net. 5-1 Yarmolenko with the second one, and another. Felipe Anderson got deserved assist for this one.
Yeah. I mean, look, the assist was okay, but I thought, I thought the goal was okay, but just such precision with the way that Yarmolenko sweeps that ball with his left foot. I mean, we've seen obviously precision with him crossing the ball with his right foot, but he is such a goal threat. It's fantastic. It's amazing, really. It's absolutely brilliant. By that point, I was a little bit disappointed to see him get involved with the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's being a knobhead, to be fair. But I would have preferred it if Yarmolenko hadn't got. Just leave it. You're 5-1 up. Leave it. Don't let them draw you into an argument. But fortunately, in the end, they did just walk away from that. Just got such good technique, though. Yarmolenko really, really does have. And when look, these players should be miles better than what we played in Charlton or than Hull. When I say these players, Anderson, Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Haller. But that's always been the case at West Ham. This is not like the first time we've ever had technical players and players that can score goals and stuff like that. But for too often, the teams that we put out against the lower league opposition don't turn up. They don't look a million times better. Actually, they don't. They walk through the game like the world owes them a living, like Hull are privileged to be on the same pitch as them, and not Hull, but you know what I mean, like Wimbledon were, like Oxford were, and we stroll around like we're the kings of the world, and we're not. We're a middle to bottom end Premier League outfit, and actually we've got to grind and work hard and impose and show our quality. So that's why I've been pleased. And you're right to mitigate the video by saying, we're aware it's Hull. We are aware it's Hull. We are aware it's Charlton. But you know what? For too long, we have gone out against Shrewsbury and Oxford and Wimbledon and teams like that. So it's actually nice to see our quality players impose themselves, look like quality players, and for us to come away and get a handsome win. I don't know the other results of this round or any other. In fact, I only found out the other day that Crystal Palace had gone out. But I'll tell you what, there'll be good teams that go out in this round. And, top-level teams. West Ham won't be one of them.
It's a relief to enjoy watching us play football, and it's not like we've been scraping through. We have been batting these teams away with relative ease and comfortableness, and it's good to watch. And the players are giving the manager a dilemma for the next league game, saying, "Hang on a minute, you should be considering me for the next game," and that's what you want to see. We've seen a few youngsters tonight as well, more than we saw against Charlton, which we'll get on to them in a second, but that's also pleasing. I think tonight was perfect, to be honest with you. The scoreline, the players that scored as well. If you said, who do you want to see score, you'd have picked out Ali, or you'd have probably picked out Yarmolenko. You're looking at the kids. We spoke about it in the preview. Who do you want to see? We said the likes of Elise. Now we want to see them getting an opportunity. They've got it tonight. I don't think tonight could have gone better, barring an injury. And obviously the testing before the game. But apart from all that, tonight went really well. I've got a couple of niggly things to moan at. Standard. But it was just good to just enjoy watching West Ham play winning football, and good winning football. The one niggle I've got is there was an opportunity. I was intrigued to see tonight if we would do substitutions, Gonzo. No David Moyes on the touchline.
Without
Moyes. For a little bit of context, for those that don't know, you must know, but Moyes, Diop and Cullen tested positive for COVID-19. It's been confirmed by the club. That's no longer a rumour. It's been confirmed by the club. So Irvine was on the sideline tonight taking charge of the match. We did the forced substitution when Ashby went off injured, and that was it. We didn't do any other substitutions, and it's just a niggle. And it's not so much this game, it's more the bigger picture for me, which is my pet hate with Moyes is lack of substitutions. And I almost want someone to be nagging at him during a game, and clearly his assistant manager is not the one that's going to be nagging him to do subs. Now they're both the same mindset of we don't need to change things. It's just a bit frustrating, that's all. I was hoping to see something a bit different tonight. I was hoping to see Irvine a bit more eager to use his bench. I thought we should have used our bench when we went 3-0 up. I thought, okay, now maybe look at getting Balbuena off, bearing in mind the Diop situation. Maybe get Alier off and get Silva on there, because Silva's not a young lad. He's 22, 23 years old now, so let's get him on the pitch and see what he's got. But we didn't, and that was a small niggly thing. And the referee was just atrocious, really. I know you've touched on it, but he let a lot go in the first half. There was a couple of bookable fouls. When someone pulled Yarmolenko down, he practically got on his back and just pulled him down. Yellow card all day, just let it go. He let everything go. And I'm all for that, as long as you keep control. But the ref did not have control of that game. In the second half, they were kicking shit out of us. All of them.
Yep.
It just wasn't good. It's no surprise to see someone go off injured. And I don't think the Ashby one was a bad tackle. That was a clatter in mid-air. It was just an unfortunate landing. But
it was synonymous with what was going on at the time.
If the referee had started cutting stuff out, even if it flew in like that on him, I'm surprised. It's pleasing to see Lanzini, in a strange way, see Lanzini get snapped, because he gets up again and gets on with it, and we're all concerned, what's he like if he's going to get a crunchy tackle? Well, I've seen him. He got in Charlton against Pratley, did it in the Charlton game, and tonight someone's done it for Hull. That's 2 games where Lanzini's had crunchy tackles and he's got up and got on with it, and that's pleasing to see. But that referee was not in control, and it could easily have spiraled. Like you said, Snodgrass flew in, Johnson flew in, and I know you say about Yarmolenko, but I quite like that attitude. You know, you don't turn up at London Stadium and take the piss anymore. We've seen it since we moved in, really. Teams coming up and bullying us. It's quite good to see us stand up and say, nah, you're not getting to do this here. I like us having a little bit of backbone. Right, individual performers. Take your pick. I think there's one player we're both impressed with. I can read your mind. We're both going to mention. It might even be our man of match. I think I know your man of match, though. It's not the same one.
No. Look, I've already mentioned my man of the match, and it's obviously one of the 2 players I thought was most outstanding today. But I can't. I thought it was a glimmer, Geo, a glimmer when he came on off the bench. And I would have liked to have seen Coventry today as well, when they came off the bench against Charlton. And I just thought, oh, who's this? Ashby, don't know him. And I thought I'd like to see him. I'd like to see a little bit more. So when you gave the news, I said to you, didn't I? I said I'm quite excited actually to see him there. I really like him. I really like him. It makes me happy to watch him. To be honest with you, there's so much to like, and I want to know more. And I'm pleased. It's just a dislocate. I mean, I'm all right now. Do you know what I mean? It's not gonna stop him doing anything. He'll be back training and so on and so forth very, very quickly. But I think it gives us an option. He really looks like a player for a whole host of reasons. just an awful lot to like, and he's got a football brain.
He's very athletic. Very
Confident.
athletic.
He's athletic. He's athletic. He's got a good build. He's got a good build about him. He looks sort of the right size, doesn't he? Which probably sounds bizarre. But he has got an athletic build. He's got a really good mindset. He's confident. He fits in with the senior players. He wants to join in. He doesn't. It's going to be a really crap analogy here because it's a different sport. But there's a rugby player called Danny Cipriani, very, very talented player, and he got drafted in to the England team at a very young age. And you've got to imagine rugby, it's full of senior players in their 30s, big, massive geezers who you don't tell what to do. He came into the team and started saying, right, you go there, you do this, and bang, I'll give you the ball, now I want it back. And I just started bossing there. He just looked to the manner born. I looked at this kid and thought, oh, hello, he looks ready to go. He really does. And I looked at that, and then I looked at Johnson on the other side. And I thought Johnson had raised his performance by 30% or something like that. Johnson looks like a guy who would. You mentioned it. You mentioned about Johnson looking better than Hull, or you might have said it against Charlton. You said he's got to look better. He did. He looked a class above. Ben Johnson was a class above anything Hull had, and I was really pleased for that. And he was getting forward. He was showing other facets of his game. But what it reminded me of was he's now settling in. He's had a few games now. I thought he was very nervous when he came into the team, Johnson. So just defended, didn't try anything. This kid don't care. Ashby's going to try anything. I thought he was going to score a Yarmolenko goal at one point. To take it down the way he did, to move it onto his left foot, and then try and craft it on his weaker foot by bending it in. You knew what he was trying to do. It didn't quite happen. Very, very excited about this kid. So I know you want to talk about him as well.
Yeah, he was my man of match, actually. I normally leave it till the end, but he was my man of match because I think you require context for this kind of thing. So I think Yarmolenko played better than Ashby, but I expect that of Andre Yarmolenko. The guy's on 100 grand a week playing against Hull City. This kid is, as far as we're aware, it's his first start for West Ham, and it's like his second appearance for West Ham. I thought he was fantastic. He was timing his runs down that right hand side to perfection, but he wasn't getting in Yarmolenko's way. One thing I've got a frustration with Frederick sometimes, he gets in Yarmolenko's way, he sort of runs into where Frederick, when Yarmolenko's trying to do his stuff, I often find the right back can sometimes stop. If Yarmolenko's trying to go down the right, he can't because the right back's there. I thought Ashby held off when he needed to hold off, but he went when he had to go. He's quite quick and he's almost like got the build and speed, not the speed of Kyle Walker, but he's got that sort of balance about him with the right build and the right speed. And I think he's my man of match, all things considered. Defensively, he was very solid. Wasn't testing much, very solid. But every time he went forward, he was there. He was almost like a fourth. He was almost playing right wing on times. But he got his arse back when he needed to. He was never caught out of position. He was always in the right place at the right time. Very impressed by him. It's just disappointing he got smashed in mid-air and had to go off earlier. But he's not done himself any harm. And the big test will be the next round. We play the winners of Fleetwood Everton. That's who we play in the next round of the Cup. I hope it's Fleetwood because Ashby will probably start. If it's Everton, I think we might see more of our first team getting played in that competition, depending on how our league form goes. But Ashby's exciting. I thought Anderson was brilliant tonight, actually. Well, it seemed sort of turn it on from the start. I thought he did, to be fair. I thought he was looking really good. I thought he was going past players, and it's just unfortunate that he wasn't involved in more of the goals. It wasn't necessarily anything he'd done. It was just the right pass came. I mean, there was a slice of luck in our second goal, the ball falling to Yarmolenko and stuff. But I was pleased to see him get an assist for it. And I think there was one point he won the ball and cleared the ball on the edge of our box, and about 3 seconds later he was in the opposition box trying to support Sebastian Aller, and I thought this is what you want to see. This guy is saying to Irvine and David Moyes, I want to stay here, or I want to leave, but I want to stay here and I want to be playing against. I want to play against Wolves. I was really impressed by Felipe tonight. Actually, I often say that Felipe is when the full-time whistle goes, Felipe Anderson's confidence stops and he starts again the next game. I think he carried a bit of it over tonight, actually. I liked what I've seen from him. Ali and Yarmolenko, I'm not going to go into. They've done what they're supposed to do. They played well. but they've done what they're supposed to do for players on 100 grand a week, costing 65 million pounds between them. I thought Snodgrass had a really good game. I thought there was some good tackles in there from him. Like I said, Wiltshire was the iffy one. And the last player I'm going to comment on is Elise. I thought I think he's fantastic on the ball. I've seen him coming out of that centre back position quite a lot. He was strolling out. He's quite small for a centre back, but he was strolling out of that back four, worked the ball at his feet. He was even, at one point, he tried to do a 1-2 with someone. He gave the ball to someone who ran. He didn't get it back, so he stopped and ran back. But I thought I liked that. He's just gone. He's confidence. Really good performances tonight. I know it's against Hull, but I think it's fair. That's why I'm happy to discount the performances of Anderson, Lanzini, Yarmolenko, so on. But I think you have to look at Johnson, Ashby, and Elise and judge them, because they were up against, if you were to send them out on loan, they'd be going to someone like Hull City, or they'd be playing the likes of Hull City week in, week out. And tonight I think all three of them have made a case as to why we shouldn't loan them out to a League One side. They're better than the opponents they've come up against. Yeah. And I think they've come away thinking it was an easy game. Longello, however, maybe a League One side is where he should go on loan, because he made an error. I know, like you said, you come on, but then that's where you should say, well, you should be ready. You should be ready to come on and get stuck into it. I do think he made a mistake, but he made amends with the fourth goal. Can I get your final words and your man of match, please?
I think I'll give the man. I'm going to give man of match to either Lanzini or Yarmolenko. One of the two. I know what you said about context, but either one of those was the best player in the match. They can both have it. I find it hard to split. Good players know good players, and they just know where each other are going to be. They play with their heads up and they look for one another. And I'm repeating a lot of the stuff that I said against Charlton, but this is important stuff because I think Moyes has to find a way to try and incorporate these players in his team. They've only not featured heavily for their clubs, and I don't just mean us. I mean Borussia Dortmund before as well with Yarmolenko, and Lanzini with us, and Lanzini with Argentina. So the only reason they're not is through injury. So, but we now we look like we're getting players back, and they're starting to get to fitness, and on top form, both those players get into Premier League first teams, and certainly get into West Ham's first team. He's got to find a way to try and incorporate him. I know you did your video about Yarmolenko in, but for all Fornall's qualities, and Lanzini on top form is better than Paulo Fornals. Yeah. He just is. What we got to find out is, can we get Lanzini back to top form? And I just wonder if in David Moyes' mind, if he's watched the game today, if there's enough evidence in the games that we've seen, in the two cup games, in the friendlies and in training, for Moyes to think, this is the bloke I used to have playing up top alongside Arnautovic. I think that's really, really key. And the cup competitions have got to be double-fold. Number one, they've got to give us an opportunity to win the cup. But number two, as you mentioned, they've got to be a showcase to get you in the first team, and or the ability to get players ready and fit so as they can play Premier League games. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. It is quite plausible for the next 4 or 5 days, I'm sure we'll cover it in other videos, that 5 or 6 different players will drop down. Well, not dead, obviously, but they'll test positive. These players that are featured tonight are going to be very important, because some of them, maybe even half of them, don't rule it out, don't laugh, maybe even half of them could find themselves playing in the first team, as long as they haven't done any man hugs. Anyone that's been in a man huddle with Diop, Cullen and David Moyes is probably not going to be playing next weekend. But I think it's a really, really useful exercise, not just for the Cup, but to get players ready, because be prepared, lads, because you may well get an unexpected call-up. And if you don't believe me, just go and ask Harrison Ashby, because he'll tell you all about it.
It's difficult to ignore Yarmolenko's form in the Cup. It's two goals and 2 assists tonight. My issue is, and Gonzo will attest to this, I am a Yarmolenko fanboy. He doesn't get tested defensively in these games. The left back does not say to him, I'm going to run, I'm going to keep on running down that side, what are you going to do? Wolves is a completely different kettle of fish. He has to get back and defend against Wolves. He doesn't have to against Charlton. He doesn't have to against Hull. I can't remember Yarmolenko crossing the halfway line tonight because he didn't need to. So that allows him to showcase his attacking abilities. It allows him to look head and shoulders above the rest of the players on the pitch because he is. But as soon as you give him defensive stuff to do, I think he struggles a little bit because he doesn't like doing it. You can just tell he doesn't like. He doesn't want to do it. I don't blame him because his talent is going forward. He doesn't want to do it. But if I was Pablo Fornals and Jared Bowen watching tonight, I'd be worried because both of them have had average games so far this season against Arsenal. They both worked hard against Arsenal, but they didn't influence the final third. And against Newcastle, they were both average at best. Lanzini's been good in both games. Anderson's had 3 good halves out of 4 in my opinion. Yarmolenko's been man of match in both games. That's 3 players after them 2 positions. If I was Bowen and Fornals, I would be worried. And if I was Moyes and Irvine, I'd be having a conversation about which 2 players start against Wolves. And I'd also have dropping Antonio into a number 10 role and putting Allaire up front as part of the discussion as well. There's now competition for our attacking 3 positions on Sunday. I don't think he'll change it, but I think he has to at least consider it. Otherwise, what's the point of these players playing in the Cup and turning up week in, week out? Because the 2 of the 3 so far this season haven't done it. But we'll cover that in the preview. We've got a cup of tea tomorrow night. Myself and Gonzo will be sitting down for a chinwag, all things West Ham, because we can almost guarantee it is a way to kick off in the next 24 hours. Before the game tonight, as I said, COVID-19's positive testing was confirmed at the club after Canterbury's amazing article last week, which we'll get into a little bit tomorrow night. We're not going to talk about it too much, not much to say really, apart from obviously best wishes for the 3 of them, and hopefully they're all a-okay, and fingers crossed no one else.
Well, I think they're asymptomatic. I think
they are. None of them knew they had anything. They turned up at the ground, went to play the game as normal, and got informed that they have COVID-19, and they left the stadium immediately, all 3 of them. Hull City, I believe, West Ham United offered Hull City to be tested for COVID-19 prior to the game, and Hull City turned down the offer as well. Just for context, again, this is unconfirmed by the club, but I believe that to be true. Just like I believe there was an under 23-year-old making his first start for West Ham tonight, just like I believe there was late changes to the team. I believe we offered Hull testing, which West Ham we were just going to pay for as well, and Hull City declined it. Anyway, myself and Gonzo are going to disappear. We'll be back tomorrow night for a cup of tea. So if you've got any questions, please post them on the channel tomorrow. There'll be a post on the channel tomorrow. Reply to that. We'll see you tomorrow in the live chat. We'll get interactive. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. And myself and Gonzo will catch you in a bit.